Are you ready to stop the self-sabotage and create the life you desire? Well, in order for that to happen, you need to break free from the bad beliefs that are holding your success hostage. You need to optimize the stress by turning it into extra energy for success. And those hurtful habits? Well, we need to give that pain a purpose for progress. Welcome to Stop the Self-Sabotage and Create the Life You Desire podcast. See if you can figure out what these two people have in common that I had some dealings with. So recently I experienced something that would be considered traumatic, and I have decided to terminate a relationship that I have because of what I discovered. And I reached out and I let several people know that I was not going to be moving forward in this relationship. One of those people that I reached out and told then picked up the phone and talked to me and wanted to share the problems they had with the same person. And while I get that, I understand how that creates a sense of rapport and bonding. That's not what I needed at that point in time. What I needed was support. I needed someone to hear and validate me, not me being the wounded one and still continuing to give. Then a second person who I had shared the dissolution of this relationship, I had shared how I was going to move forward. They reached out to me. They waited a while. They processed, and then they reached out to me. And they let me know that even though they wanted to support me, what they were really concerned about is how much work they were going to have to do now. Because I was stepping out, they were going to have to step in. And they didn't necessarily like that. And again, I understood that, but that's not my concern. So what did both of these people have in common? They had in common that I knew my limits and what I was willing to continue to give and where I needed to stop things. So we have to have boundaries. Boundaries bless, rules restrict, and limits inform. So we have to have boundaries. We have to have boundaries around ourselves. This is the reason why they bless us, is because they keep us safe. And then when we draw a boundary, as far as, well, I'm not going to take care of you right now, or the fact that you're going to have to take care of things, that's really no longer my responsibility. You have choices on that. I'm making my choice. So boundaries allow us to stay safe. When we draw them, they give us information about the other person. Typically people will have a knee-jerk reaction, but then they'll come back and say, okay, yeah, how can we make this work? If they do not, then you know that the third thing, it might not be a relationship that you want to continue in the same way. So boundaries are all about you. Then you have rules. Rules are around others, as far as your expectations, what you value, what they'll do on their side of the relationship, and how you'll respond. So rules are around other people. But what's in between the boundaries and the rules? That's your limits. Because every rule is going to be adaptable. Every rule can be modified. Boundaries, on the other hand, you really need to think about, do you want to modify that? Because they're there for a purpose for you, not others. But you do need to know what your limits are. Because if you are around takers, they will continue to take. They're not going to recognize the situation you're in. See, our society nowadays, it's so much easier for people to be takers because that's the path of least resistance. And if you are a dysfunctional giver, you will attract dysfunctional takers. There's actually supposed to be an ebb and flow between the two of them. Sometimes you give, sometimes you take. But what's in between are the limits, and you need to know what are your limits, or you will find yourself in a situation where you've been hurt and you're making it okay for everybody around you instead of getting the support that you need to start moving past the pain and into the progress for your purpose. Okay, if I can assist you with this, because I have to walk my talk. The reason why I decided to terminate the relationship that I'm talking about is because I have values that I share with you all the time. And I would be an imposter if I told you you needed to have values that were going to lead you off of the drama, trauma, victim triangle and back into victory. I would be an imposter if I told you to do it and I wasn't doing it for myself. But I know firsthand the pain that it causes, the lack of support, the fact that others aren't going to be there for you when you need them to be. Simply because they've been used to you being the strong one and making it happen for everybody else. So if I can assist you, let's have a chat, and I will give you a tip, tool, or technique that you can use to begin to assist you in processing the pain, to be able to allow yourself to feel it without being overwhelmed with it. And then if you decide to work with me, it's because I've earned the right to be in your life. So reach out to me, 1-636-699-7791. You can either call me or leave me a text and tell me that you want a consult for pain into progress. And then I'll respond back with some openings that I have. Oh, also, whether you leave me a voicemail or send me a text, give me your time zone, okay? I know that you can do this, but you're not going to be able to do it by continuing to be a people pleaser whenever the pain shows up. You can't give somebody more of you when they never valued you to start with. Know your limits.